and welcome to episode 193 of The Joy of Coding. My name's Mike Conley. Hello, welcome. Sorry, I'm a little disorganized today. That's why I'm a little late. If you're watching the live stream, I apologize for being a little bit late. But here we are, and I forgot to plug in my laptop. And here we are, episode 193. I'm going to be live hacking on Firefox stuff today, as per usual. Thanks for being here. Let's get started. So let me just switch to my screen. Yeah, today's episode 193. It's October 16th, 2019, and a reminder, no plan survives breakfast. I say this every time. If you're new to the stream, I say it every time because it's true. I don't really have a plan, or I have a vague sense of the things I want to do today, but I don't know how it's going to go. Things might go horribly wrong. I might get stuck, sidetracked. I might get... who knows? We might fix some bugs and we might not. I'm capturing software development in the raw, and none of it's pre-planned, so anything could happen. That's kind of the fun of it. So that's the first thing. The second thing, the agenda. That's what we're looking at right now, and it's something that you have access to. If you're watching this on Air Mozilla, check out the handout section to my left, your right. If you're watching this on YouTube, check the video description down below. And if you're watching this on Twitch, allow me to drop you a line. The agenda is now inside the Twitch chat. And I already see a question in the Twitch chat from Akris. Did the live hacking channel get closed? Presumably, Akris, you're referring to the live hacking channel in... do the live hacking channel inside of... on IRC. Yeah, I'm noticing I also can't access it. It's possible that... it got closed, or someone took it and claimed ownership and booted all of us. There was some maintenance. So yeah, I don't know. I'll find out. For now, there is no live hacking IRC channel. I'll figure it out later. So to do, find out what happened to live hacking IRC channel. I will do that after the stream. So I apologize. I will note, however, that the live hacking Riot Matrix thing has also been shut down. The sort of the test Matrix server that Mozilla set up in order to evaluate Matrix alongside like Rocket Chat and Mattermost. Those have all been shut down because our testing period is over. So now the teams that are deciding all that are going to evaluate. So we'll see what we switch to. It's going to probably be a couple of months before we have an answer, but there we go. And until then, we'll have to struggle on with IRC. I better figure out what happened to the live hacking channel. But I'll do that later. For now, what else do I want to talk about? The episode guide. There is an episode guide. If you're not already familiar with it, the episode guide is a user-driven, user-curated list of guides for each of the episodes of the series. We've got all the way to episode 190, which is the episode before last. And these contain things like links to the episode and the agenda, as well as some of the topics that were covered, maybe some of the interesting commands that I used, or some of the things that occurred during the stream. Apparently 19 minutes into this episode, I did some impressions. I don't remember doing that, but I trust Smurf D, who submitted this this episode guide, that yeah, apparently I did some impressions. And in fact, if I remember correctly, there is a pull request. There are two pull requests. Episode 191 and 192, I never merged these in. Maybe we can quickly merge these in, because that would be good. 191, I thought I had merged this in, but I guess I didn't. So let's quickly merge these in. While I'm saying this, I'll point out that the episode guide is something you too can contribute to. If you feel like contributing to the episode guide, send me a pull request. And if you're not sure what a pull request is, check out in the agenda there. There's a link to what a pull request is, how it works. Yeah, apparently I remember doing this last week, but I guess I forgot to merge it. So let me merge this and say thanks. And episode 192 from last week as well. You only checked it last episode. No merge, said Smurf D. Oh, that's what happened. No merge. My bad. So now I've merged it. Let's take a look at episode 192. this commit. So episode 192, that's correct. And the agenda, make sure that that's correct. 192, correct. What were the things we're covering? Matrix is shutting down. Yeah, follow along with the blog post. Clearing my review queue. Worked on finishing Talos compatibility and analysis. Using Moz regression. Yeah, that was pretty handy using Moz regression. Okay, great. That all sounds legit. Let us merge this in as well. So thank you very much to SmurfD. Thanks again for your contributions to the episode guide. And I love your little avatar there. I believe that is a Smurf. That is some Smurf there. Amazing. All right, so what am I hoping to work on today? Well, one of the things I was hoping to do today was, in order to help people contribute to Pictureinpicture, because it's really kind of been the Mike Conley, the M. Conley, Jason Voorhees show, and Dave Justice, aka Jason Voorhees, hasn't been able to contribute a whole lot of time to actually hacking on the code. He's been mainly doing reviews. I'd like to open it up so that more people feel comfortable hacking on it. And so what I wanted to do was do some documentation for it. So adding documentation for Pictureinpicture. And so I wanted to file a bug for that and I actually have already started on some documentation, but I want to try and finish it off if I could. So let's do that. Let's see here. I'm going to start by filing the bug. Also, I have some new sounds. That's the goose from Untitled Goose Game, and this quote. Why'd you spill your beans? That is, I believe, Willem Dafoe from the trailer for Lighthouse, an upcoming film that I'm very excited for, where they say, "Why'd you spill your beans?" a bunch, and I thought that'd be a good sound to add. Why'd you spill your beans? There you go. So, yeah, filing a new bug, Pictureinpicture. So that's under Toolkit, Video, and Audio Controls. So I'm going to add in-tree documentation for Pictureinpicture component. I want to add some documentation to appear on, what is it, the Firefox source docs. Firefox source. That will help people who are hacking on Pictureinpicture code find their way around. This is the bug where I'll land that documentation. And I'm gonna make this block video pip. And this is a task. And I'm going to take it for myself. And I'm going to make it P1 because I'm gonna do it right now. And submit. All right, so in tree documentation, let's get started. I already started to write some documentation here, and one of the things that I want to be able to do is actually like build this documentation locally and be able to see it. Let me show you the diff right away, like what I've got currently for the diff. I've got There we go. Oh yeah, I experimented with adding the title bar here. Oh yeah, I've got some stuff in here that I probably should take out. I was tinkering around with adding Pictureinpicture support for Mac OS, making the always on top feature work. And I think I had something working, but I want to shelve that for now and only work on the documentation. So where I'm going to shelve everything under widget Cocoa and toolkit components Pictureinpicture. Shelve widget Cocoa and toolkit components Pictureinpicture, Pictureinpicture.jsm. So shelving those things for later. And for some reason, using shelve requires me to go get a bunch of Python-y things, which I don't know why, but I have a feeling it's for doing like linting or something. I'm going to be using a lot of those new sounds a lot today, probably.
That's right.
All right. Okay, so let me pump up the font a little so it's easier to see what's going on. Let me bring the bottom up a little. Whoops. Yeah. Okay, so I'm on this revision right here on Central. I haven't actually committed anything, and I have this change, which adds a. Come on. It just adds a directive to our build infrastructure to let them know that there is a docs folder now underneath the Picture-in-Picture folder in Toolkit Components. So Toolkit, Components, Picture-in-Picture, there's now a docs folder with an index.rst file that I'm adding and a diagram. So I want to add those directories now. Toolkit, Components, Picture-in-Picture, docs. And then let us create a work in progress commit. Add in tree documentation for Picture-in-Picture component. And I think Jason Voorhees is likely to be the one reviewing that. So our documentation uses like Sphinx and RST files and all sorts of business. Oh, and it's using pip. It shouldn't be SVG. It should be PNG. So I'm gonna have to like recommit in a second. HG amend. All right. Why'd you spill your beans? Why'd you spill your beans? All right. So the problem is that, like, one of the problems I was dealing with yesterday when I started working on this is I want to be able to preview what the final rendering of the documentation will look like. And there's this command mock-doc, which is supposed to let me do that. So if I like do mock-doc toolkit, it should build that directory's documentation. And then I start getting like these errors. Blah, JS doc, freaking out. Complaining that it found no JS files in the directories. Or that JS doc emitted invalid JSON. So I don't know what that means, and I asked around in a couple of different support channels, and one recommendation I heard was that I need to run, what was it? I need to run, what did he say? Standard 8 says, I think you might need to update JS doc. Check what version it is first though. So JS doc version 3.6.3, which is from July, so a couple months ago. So I guess I'll update it. Yarn, how do you update? Help, grep, update. Upgrade? Yarn dash help. Commands, yarn upgrade, help. Upgrade something. And I want to do it for the global installation of JS doc. Yarn upgrade. Okay, that's how you do it. Yarn. Now I installed JS doc globally, and that's the one I want to update. Yarn global. Yarn global. Aha. Yarn global. Add. Okay, that's what I want to do. Yarn global. upgrade JS doc, probably. Yarn global upgrade JS doc. Look at it go. Phew, phew, phew. All right, now which version of JS doc do I have? 363. Is that, what one is that? 363 is the same one I had before. So I don't know. I don't think this is going to help at all. Yeah, that didn't help at all. I just want to make sure that I'm using the right one. Let's take a quick peek at this file. Is there a version number in here? Yarn JS doc package version 363. Yeah. So what's it complaining about? Warning: the config value of JS source path has type list and defaults to string. Unexpected token in JS doc on line 4. Sphinx error. Failed to generate documentation because JS doc found no JS files in the directories. So maybe I need to avoid, maybe I can work around this by saying, I don't care about JS doc right now. I just want to do the Python stuff. Mock help. Generate serve documentation. I want, what do you mean -- format, documentation format to write? That might be useful. Path to settings, log interval, internal log file. Print verbose. Let's do that. Maybe that'll help us debug this. Akra says, upgrade Node.js also? Maybe. Which version am I using? 10.16. And which version is the current stable? 10.16.3. I'm on 10.16.0. Okay, so nvm, what was it? Help. nvm install 10.16.3. Now using 10.16.3. Okay. Any better? Eddie Vedder? No. No, doesn't like it. Sphinx version 1.85. Sphinx. Which version of Sphinx do we expect? Is there like a setup.py? No. How do we say which version that we want? Maybe requirements. Requirements.text. And then saying Sphinx. Third-party Python for version, requirements docs, Python for PyTest, Sphinx 1.4, 1.8, 1.80. I don't know which version of Sphinx it's using. Maybe I need to update Sphinx. Is Sphinx even a command? Running Sphinx version 1.85. Python Sphinx. Version and requires Python 3.5. Am I using the wrong? I'm using 2.7 still. Oh, I don't think our build stuff has been switched over to using Python 3 yet. which blows. Let me actually look up the Mozilla Documentation, source tree documentation, mock doc. Adding documentation, this time via Sphinx. Create a directory, create an index RST file. In the Moz, define that I did that. It says docs. Yeah, if you have Python package you would like generate Python API documentation for. I don't. Do I have to do this part? I don't think so. Other places I've seen haven't used that. It's like an if, it's conditional, so don't need to do that. Mozilla source tree docs. There's like a developer.mozilla.org mock doc. Not useful. Not useful. What was it I wanted to look for? I recently linked to this document. Where did I link to it from? Where did I link to it from? I'm looking for the documentation. Oh, no, I linked to the formatting C++ code. So not the Sphinx stuff. Shoot. Mozilla Sphinx. Install JS doc. Maybe I have to upgrade Sphinx JS, although I don't think I'm running Sphinx JS at all. Am I? No, I'm not running Sphinx JS. It doesn't look like. JS doc found no JS files in this directory. Make sure JS source path is set correctly in conf. It's also possible, though unlikely, that JS doc omitted invalid JSON. Mock failed to generate documentation. What I was trying to do is, like, what are you trying to do? Generating Python API documentation. So I'll generate Python API docs. Then it runs. All right. This is annoying. Does it work if I use another directory like browser? There is a base content. Yeah. No, it doesn't work there either. Which is interesting. Oh, yeah, it's interesting because I, at one time, wrote documentation and this worked. So this is a recent breakage. How do I, maybe I can somehow like disable the JS doc stuff and start moving. Tools conf. JS doc must run successfully for DIRs specified. So running tree wide, default will not work correctly. And what He asks it to run in toolkit components extensions. He's like, hey, I didn't find any JS files in the directories. It's also possible that JS documented invalid JSON. Invalid unexpected token. Is it? What? It's like complaining about fat arrow syntax, this error message. Like, this is valid JS. It should be anyways, like node, okay. Quit. Like if I run node, yeah. So what's the problem? JS source path, let's type list, defaults to string. All right, well, tools docs conf JS Sphinx extension Sphinx Js, so it does run it, okay. And then JS source path, is it not used elsewhere? Open. How can I like bypass this? I'm just gonna make this an empty object, an empty list. I doubt this will have the impact I want, but let's see. Sure. Let's just run a known good directory that doesn't have any of our stuff in it. Still complains. All right, notice that the list is different. Maybe I'm gonna attach a debugger. Debug command when command is dispatched. What? Oh, maybe I have to put it before. Oh, these are global arguments. They have to go. Well. What? Do I have to put it before? Okay. If not which, please install from npm jsdoc. Self-activate pipe pip file. Okay. How do I go up? Okay. Activate pip env. It's not null. Pip files under tools docs pip file. Okay. Sure, pip env. Activate a virtual environment. Okay. So we activate the virtual environment. Then we import web browser. Server. Save dir. Tools. Now we're going to call run Sphinx. That's interesting. Import Sphinx. And then running Sphinx. So it's inside of Sphinx build main args where things go wrong. Okay. Sphinx build main args. What are our args? Sphinx B HTML and then C, and then we pass in these directories. Jobs. And then in doing so, it's like, hey, JS doc. And I seem to recall, did we ever refer to JS doc while we were doing any of this? I thought we did. Pip file. Like we make sure that it exists. Let's take a look at the stuff that added JS doc and see how it hooks in. This is a long time ago. Sphinx docs. System setup in Docker. Okay, Sphinx Js. Config path. It's interesting. Virtual. So we install a Sphinx JS 2.1 here inside of tools docs mock command. Okay. Sphinx. So all the install stuff's gone. Presumably a virtual env. Where did we do it before we activated this virtual environment? What happened and where? Moz build. Virtual env manager inside of Moz build base. Gives us Sphinx JS 2.8, Sphinx RTD theme 042, and Sphinx 1.85. Okay. So that's what gets installed. 1.85, Sphinx 1.85. All right. 2.8, Sphinx JS 2.8. So that is fine, and we're using 2.7. Okay. Doesn't talk about JS doc. JS doc setup. JSDoc.json. JSDoc.json. Be? What could it be? JS doc. What calls JS doc? Somehow calling Sphinx build main with these arguments causes us to launch JS doc. What is JS doc? JSDoc Sphinx. Do we use something to glue them together? I think I might need to ask for help. Because, like, where does it get launched? How do we launch it? When did we... upgrade Sphinx JS? Oh, we upgraded it a couple days ago. What did they do? They updated Sphinx JS to 2.8. They changed the pinning. Updated. Fluent. So now the config path is in the root, which is fine. So there's a relationship, I think, between JSDoc and Sphinx JS, and I don't know what it is just yet. Let's take a look at what Sphinx JS is. Sphinx JS lets you use the industry-leading Sphinx documentation tool with JS projects. It provides a handful of directives patterned after the Python-centric Autodoc ones for pulling JS doc formatted documentation into RST pages. Okay. And I suspect it should no longer break with versions of JSDoc greater than 3.6. Which version of JSDoc do we have? 3.6. Bug. What is this bug? No JSDoc documentation was found. We are currently pinned to Sphinx 2.1 because last time I tried to upgrade their intermittence. Should try to upgrade again. Update Sphinx JS 2.7.1. Okay, yeah, this is kind of the same error. Solve the issue. We need to fix the root problem in Sphinx JS. Upgrade the new Sphinx JS in mock doc. The workaround is to downgrade JSDoc to version 3.5. So we're using JSDoc 3.63. How do I know which version of Sphinx JS I'm using? I don't think that's a command I can just use. But let me just try this workaround of downgrading JSDoc to 3.5.x. Yarn global help downgrade. Remove upgrade interactive. Yarn global remove JSDoc. And then I'm going to install JSDoc 3.5.x from npm. JSDoc. Which version? Let's get a list of versions. 3.5.6 dev. 3.5.5. Let's try 3.5.5. Yarn global install JS doc, and then I think you do like 3.5.5 like that. Yarn global invalid command. Yarn global add. JS doc 3.5.5 not found. How do you yarn install yarn add specific version? Yarn add. Oh, and then @ symbol. Okay, yarn add. Okay, now let's try without the debug. Oh, it still hates it. But it's a different error now. I wonder if part of the problem is that I made that change to, where was it? Here. I'm going to undo this change. Still hates it. Requizzle. Yarn global no modules requizzle. I think I've got like too many disjoint versions of stuff. Man. Unexpected identifier. It's almost like I'm using like an outdated version of JavaScript. Like it's not happy with things like let or arrow functions. Could it be, am I using the wrong version of Node? Even if I use NVM, which version of Node am I using? Which version of Node am I using? Mock help grab Node. Find out which version of Node it uses. Like whenever we upgrade the Node version. Nodejs. Unfortunately, Node is one of those things, one of those words that we use a lot. Bug resolved Node. So this is going to return like a lot of results. Oh man, Nodejs maybe. Another suggestion from Smurf D is using mock Bootstrap. Sure, mock Bootstrap. I'm pretty sure I did this yesterday. Sure. Add Node.js to the default build. Node configure moz.configure. Min node version. Okay, that went away. Whoops, didn't mean to pull that out. That's not useful. So mock Bootstrap is, yes, I will be submitting patches to Mozilla. So now it's getting Node. And Clang, but I'm pretty sure it's the same version that I had before. Yeah, so this is where the node that I need to use is. Okay. Let's see what, C node. Oh, hang on. Version 8.11, so it's way behind. Is it possible that what? Node 8.11. What do we know about Node 8.11? It was in maintenance mode, or it's still in maintenance mode. Carbon. What features does it have? Which version of what? Node v8. What? Oh, Node 8.11. What features does it have? Nah. Like, which version of V8 does it use? Version of V8. V8 5.8. Okay, what's in the V8 5.8 JavaScript engine? Versions, releases, 5.8, 5.8. I need like releases. V8 release changes. V8 JavaScript. Maybe the Wikipedia page will have it. V8. Do I have like a release history? V8 JavaScript release history. God. How about this? Nodejs. When can I use ES6? What am I looking at? Yes, okay, here we go. Node.js E. This is the version of Node.js. And I wanted, what version do I have right now? 8.11. 8. Well, I think this is not being maintained anymore. Syntax. Do you have? Let and const. Let. So it's supposed to have it. 8.11, I think. Oh, requires harmony flag. And arrow functions should also have, presumably. So what's the deal? What is going on? Sphinx version 1.85. Reading Sphinx metadata from build configuration. Staging static documentation. Generating Python API documentation. Tools. Yeah, that's that. Redirects. Presumably extensions. Let's turn this part off. Let's just turn off the Sphinx Js stuff. Hey, all right, good. So now I have something that works. Let's work with that. Let's just work with that. And then I will talk to our build people. Now that I've burned like an hour of both of our times, I've got something that works. Let's try building the picture-in-picture documentation. Hey, here's what I've written so far. Great, great, we made it. Let's play some celebratory sounds.
That's right. I just spill your beans.
So we did it. Picture-in-picture. So this component makes it possible for a video element on a web page to be played within an always-on-top video player. This documentation covers the architecture and inner workings of both the mechanism that displays the video in the always-on-top video player, as well as the mechanism that displays the picture-in-picture toggle that overlays video elements. Overlays video elements, which is the primary method for using the feature. For launching the feature. High-level overview. The following diagram tries to illustrate the subcomponents and how they interact with one another. Let's suppose... So it's like... Maybe this is overly complicated, but it's like... You've got this picture-in-picture toggle child, which talks to video controls, which is the thing that like renders the video widget, and that's what tells it whether or not to display the toggle or not. And it communicates to this other object, this other class called picture-in-picture child, which tells the parent to open up the top level window here and create this remote Zool browser, which we've got player.js running inside this thing, and it talks to the video element and sends a message to another picture-in-picture child, which is what is like running inside of here. I don't know if this diagram is very clear. I think I'm going to need to work on this diagram a little bit. Let's suppose that the user has loaded a document with a video on it. A video on it? With a video in it. And they decide to open it in a picture-in-picture window. What happens? First, the picture-in-picture toggle child component notices when video elements are added to the DOM and monitors the mouse as it moves around the document. That's true. Once the mouse intersects a video, picture-in-picture toggle child causes the picture-in-picture toggle to appear on that element. If the user clicks on that toggle, then the picture-in-picture child actor for that document sends a message to the parent process. The parent process opens up the always-on-top player window, with a remote Zool browser that runs in the same content process as the original video. The parent then sends a message to the player window's remote Zool browser loaded in the player window. A second picture-in-picture child is instantiated. This underscoring is not working. How do you do italics? Is that like that? A second picture-in-picture child is instantiated. This time for the empty document. This time for the empty document loaded inside of the player window browser. This second picture-in-picture child constructs its own video element and then instructs the platform and then tells Gecko to clone the original video to the newly created video. At this point, the video is displaying in the picture-in-picture player window. Next, we'll discuss the individual subcomponents and how they operate at a more detailed level. Right. That's what I wanted to get to. We're going to document how the toggle works. Great. So one of the primary challenges faced when developing this feature was the fact that mouse events often do not reach video elements. This is usually because the video element was the fact that in practice, mouse events tend not to reach video elements. This is usually because the video element is contained within a tree of containers, within a hierarchy of other DOM elements that are capturing and handling any events that come down. Right. So oftentimes the video element, we can't just use something like mouse over on the video element. Because the video element never received. This is why we cannot simply use a mouse over event handler on the video element. Video UA widget. Can't simply use a mouse over event handler on the UA widget. Then capturing event element is contained within a hierarchy. Oftentimes, this occurs on sites that often occurs on sites that use their own controls, that construct their own video controls. This is why we cannot simply use a mouse over event handler on the video UA widget. Well, on sites that do the event capturing, we'll never receive those events. And the toggle will not be accessible. Instead, to work around this problem, we use something a little, other times, the problem is that the video is overlaid with a semi or fully transparent element which captures any events that attempt which captures any mouse events that would normally be dispatched to the underlying video. Is overlaid with a semi or fully transparent element which captures any mouse events that would normally consider sites that allow you. This can occur, for example, on sites that want to display an overlay when the video is paused. Oftentimes, this overlay is sometimes made fully transparent. Such an overlay can be made fully transparent to show the video underneath, but would still end up intercepting the would they when they're fully transparent? No, I don't think they actually intercept the mouse events. Only if they're in an iframe. Smurfd's like, who is this documentation directed towards? I mean, it's quite high level with a lot of technobabble. High level or low level? Like I'm going deep into the implementation details. And the reason for that is because this documentation is not for end users. To be clear, this is not end user documentation. This is documentation for people who are going to be hacking on Pictureinpicture. Because I don't want to be doing this by myself forever. I want other developers to be able to work with it, fix bugs, add features, etc. And instead of making people just read the code and like just live with inspection, I want to have some documentation to help guide them. Display an overlay when the video is paused. To work around this problem, we use we take advantage the picture to work around this problem. The Pictureinpicture toggle child class does some sophisticated sampling of mouse move. Gerst asks in IRC, is live hacking gone? Says it's invite only. Yeah, sorry, you may have missed it during the beginning of the stream. Someone else mentioned it to me as well, and like, yeah, I can't access it. I think there was some like IRC maintenance done, and maybe we all got booted. Who knows? But I don't have access to the room either, and so I will attempt to reopen that room after this stream. So unfortunately, no IRC channel for now. I apologize. Next time, hopefully it'll be open. There you go, Gerst. Okay, to work around this problem, the Pictureinpicture toggle child class does some sophisticated sampling of mouse move events and uses NSI DOM window utils. What was it? What is the function that we use? Pictureinpicture child.jsm. Window utils get bounds without flushing. Oh, that's not exactly right. We want to use is mouse over video. On mouse move. Mouse move deferred task, check last mouse move, and then we get nodes from rect. Right. Nodes from rect. Nodes from rect. To work around this problem, the Pictureinpicture child class samples the latest mouse move event every, what's the deferred task? Mouse move deferred task equals every mouse move processing delay, ms milliseconds, and then calls NSI DOM window utils nodes from rect with the a only visible argument to get the full list of nodes that exist underneath a one by one underneath a one by one rect positioned at the mouse cursor. Smurfy's like, yeah, don't get me wrong, not sure if I meant high or low level, but yeah, I understand you want to go deep as possible to describe how things work down to the nitty gritty. Yeah, never mind. Okay, well, ideally, Smurf D, for example, I mean, you could be the audience for this documentation because, you know, maybe you want to hack on Picture-in-Picture child. Maybe you want to add a feature to Picture-in-Picture. This documentation would hopefully give you the tools that you need, the information that you need to sort of like walk around the code and see how it works. Or at least maybe if someone's just curious how Picture-in-Picture works, how are we moving the video from here to here? This will kind of lay out the mechanism. And if they want to know how the toggle works, because that's pretty, I would say it's a rather novel, mechanism-ish, then they can use this document. To work around this problem, the Picture-in-Picture toggle child class samples the latest mouse move event every mouse move processing delay milliseconds, and then calls nodes from rect with the a only visible argument to get the full list of visible nodes that exist underneath a one by one rect positioned at the mouse cursor. If a video is in that list, then we reach into its shadow root, and update some attributes to tell it to maybe show the toggle. The underlying UA widget, that's running for the video is defined in video controls.js, and ultimately chooses whether or not to display the toggle based on heuristics like one. I think, how do we do a list? I think I've seen a list. We've used a list for async tab switcher .rst. We used a list. Oh, just a numbered list like this. Okay. And the toggle based on heuristics on, I'd say, the following heuristics. One, is the video, what are the heuristics? Video controls.js. Is the video long enough? Greater than 45 seconds? All right, this might be easier to phrase. Is the video less than 45 seconds? Is either the width or the height of the video less than, how many pixels did we choose? 160 pixels? Is the video silent? If any of the above is true, we the underlying UA widget will hide the toggle, since it's unlikely that the user will want to pop the video out into a player window, and always on top, player window. Okay. This allows us to avoid showing the toggle on. This also allows us to avoid showing the toggle on most advertisements. Okay. Well, I don't know if that's important to mention. Okay, there's a subsection here, registration, or rather video registration. Sampling the latest mouse move event every mouse move processing delay ms is not free, computationally speaking. So we only do this if there are one or more video elements visible on the page. We use an intersection observer to notice when there is a video within the viewport, and if there are more than one video elements visible, if there are one or more video elements visible, then we start sampling the mouse move event. Okay. Let's take a look at our documentation. Okay, so far so good. What else do I want to say about the toggle? Picture-in-picture child. Doc state. I think that's probably important to mention. Doc state. Okay. Picture-in-picture child.jsm contains a weak map mapping documents to to various information that picture-in-picture toggle child doesn't want to forget. Wants to retain for the lifetime of that document. any state that needs to be remembered should be added to the doc state weak map. For example, what sort of things are remembered? Whether or not we're in the midst of handling the user clicking down on their pointer device. What else is useful to know about? Video registration. Then we start. Videos are added to the intersection observer when they fire. When they are added to the DOM by listening for the UA widget setup or change event. Section observer function. Yeah. This is considered being registered. Oh, reopen. How do we reopen? There we go. So yeah, we register right here. Context menu. On intersection. Add mouse button listeners. Right, click events. Clicking on the toggle. All right, I'm gonna finish this last section. I think I'm gonna call the stream. Clicking on the toggle. One of the thing, if the user clicks on the picture-in-picture toggle, we don't want the underlying web page to know that they did this, since this could result in things like unexpected behavior, like page navigation, or, for example, if there's a, if the video is a long-running advertisement that that navigates upon click. We don't want the underlying to know that if the user clicks on the picture-in-picture toggle, we don't want the underlying web page to know that this happened. Like a page navigation. Maybe add something like you had on tab browser async tab switcher with requirements lifecycle. Yeah, what did we have? Async tab switcher, we had like requirements. Lifecycle is kind of like what I'm describing here, a high-level overview. Maybe I should replace the high-level overview. Like, maybe I can talk about these various things, and then once I've introduced the toggle and the picture-picture child and the picture-picture.jsm and the player window, then I can do like a low-level overview. I mean, get rid of the high-level overview and walk through exactly what occurs with each of these individual components and how they interact. Oh, maybe. It's worth thinking about. Like page navigation. In order to what we do to accomplish this, we listen for all click pointer down, all events fired on a mouse click on the root window. Events fired on a mouse click on the root window. We listen during the capturing phase. This allows us to handle the events before they are dispatched to content. The first event that is fired, pointer down, is handled pointer down. The first event that is checked. The first event that is fired has its coordinates, cursor coordinates, checked against the position of the toggle being displayed, position of the toggle, if any, being displayed by any videos. Video elements. During the capture, this allows to handle it. The first event is pointer down is captured, and we check the doc state to see whether or not we're showing a toggle on any videos. If so, we check the coordinates of that toggle against the coordinates of the pointer down event to determine if the user is clicking on the toggle. If so, we capture the, we set a flag in the doc state so that any subsequent events from the click, like mouse down, click, what other events? Video controls, picture-in-picture child, mouse down, pointer up, mouse up, click, yeah. Mouse down, mouse up, pointer up, click, are captured and suppressed. Captured and suppressed. Otherwise, if the pointer down event didn't occur within a toggle, we let the events pass through as normal. If we determine that the click has occurred on the toggle, a Moz toggle picture-in-picture event is dispatched on the underlying video. This event is handled by the picture-in-picture child class. I have a separate Picture-in-picture child class. So we're going to add that section, Picture-in-picture child, to do. All right. We wrote a bit of documentation. It's not bad. It's not bad. You know, I'll probably go through a couple of drafts with Jason Voorhees, aka Dave Justice, and come up with something that's hopefully understandable. I have a new contributor, Mark Streamer, who I think is going to be hacking on picture-in-picture things soon. So he's going to be my test case, effectively. I'm going to show him this documentation and then ask him, you know, like, what's missing, what doesn't make sense, and then hopefully I can flesh this out further. All right, I'm going to call the episode there. Hey, we did it. Episode 193 of The Joy of Coding is complete. We were able to get JS doc stuff or ish fixed. We were able to get documentation generated, although we ended up burning an hour doing that. But we were able to move forward, and sometimes that's what you need to do. Sometimes you know, you leave things like the documentation infrastructure to the people who manage that. I'll ask them and they can help me out. But sometimes you just need to like turn things off so that you can get your actual goal done. In this case, for me, it was writing picture-in-picture documentation, and I actually got to do that today. So I'm quite pleased by that. I also got to test out some new sounds. And I also found out that the live hacking channel in IRC is broken. So I will be looking into that after this meeting. Thank you so much for watching episode 193 of The Joy of Coding. Let me know what you thought. Click on the link here in the agenda to rate the episode. I read every rating that comes in. I read all of the feedback. If you have ideas on what I can do for episode 200, which is coming up soon, let me know. I'm eager to read those. And with that, I'm going to call it. So thanks again for watching. Take care. Bye-bye. See ya.